Thank you very much, Honorable Speakers, for allowing me to contribute to the supplementary budget brought by the esteemed Minister of Finance on the 1st of August 2019. Very significant date in the country's history. Honorable Speaker said, the country is dealing under the weight of crippling multiple challenges that include the challenge of macroeconomic instability, that include interest rates that are so high but still below the rate of inflation. Challenges that include the ugly return of hyperinflation. Inflation now, as I'm talking to you, Honorable Speaker, stands around 560%. Challenges, Honorable Speaker, that includes crippling power shortages that are lasting 18 hours a day. In some cases, 24-hour power shortages, something that is unprecedented in the hundreds or so history of modern Zimbabwe from 1880. The majority of our people, Honorable Speaker, are wallowing in poverty. 79% of our people are living below the poverty data line, surviving on less than US 35 cents a day. Honorable Speaker said, the supplementary budget, therefore, is an obligation to provide a compass, to provide leadership, to provide direction in the face of the existence of these multiple challenges. And I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that one of the key challenges that is now facing Zimbabwe more than ever is the challenge of corruption. Corruption has become so accentuated. Corruption has become so accelerated. Billions and billions of dollars, Honorable Speaker said, are being lost. Unlike in the past, where the chief infrastructures of corruption were found in the private sector, in multinational corporations, in illicit financial flows, the recent character and the recent face of corruption is corruption that is taking place through central government itself, Honorable Speakers. Corruption that is being channeled through the Ministry of Finance itself, Honorable Speakers. And this is a huge challenge that is affecting our country. Now, when you measure, Honorable Speaker said, the supplementary budget that was read out by the esteemed Minister of Finance on the 1st of October, so 1st of August 2019, vis-a-vis these challenges, with great respect, you find the budget falling short, being dwarfed, not being equal to the challenges that we are facing. Not only that, Honorable Speaker, the budget itself is a big fraud. It's an entire statement of misrepresentation of the true state of the economic affairs of our country. And I start, Honorable Speaker, by the claim that we are increasing the budget by 10 billion Zimbabwe dollars. In fact, the budget speaks of anticipated revenue of $14 billion. It speaks of anticipated expenditure of 18 billion Zimbabwe dollars. Many of us will sit here and think that we are actually increasing the budget. I actually submit, Honorable Speaker, that we are actually contracting the budget. Our budget in 2019 that we approved in this August House on the 21st of December 2019 in the early hours was a budget expressed in US dollars, 6 billion US dollars. Now, when you now approve a budget that is now 14 billion Zimbabwean dollars, and when the black market rate is 1:10, it means you have reduced 6 billion US dollars to 1.4 billion dollars. So we are in fact the cake, Honorable Speaker, which is regulated. And it brings me to another fundamental thing that is in this budget. When you pronounce a budget, you are providing economic indicators for planners. And one of the key figures you must give is the figure for GDP, is the figure for growth rates. This is the first budget in the history of budgets that actually skates the issue of GDP growth rate. I want to refer, Honorable Speaker, to paragraph 68, page 25 of the budget statement. And on that point, Honorable Speaker, I also want to place on record our complaint that when the budget statement was read out on the 1st of August 2019, it was not made available to members. It was not made available on the 2nd of February, so August 2019. And we were only given this budget a few minutes ago in this August chamber. The practice, Honorable Speaker, is that once it's laid before the table, it must be available in our pigeon holes or at least in the papers office in the first floor. It was not available. That's not good governance, and that's not good direction. But I want to refer, Honorable Speaker, to paragraph 68. It says, in view of the headwinds, the revised 2019 GDP growth rate is expected to be negative and even below the -2% projected under the S&P. Treasury will therefore keep tracking key developments in the economy with a view of making appropriate adjustments to sectorial growth policies. Honorable Speaker said, it is not good enough to say it will be below -2%. This statement must define the figure. What is the figure of the growth rate for 2019? Because every planner wants it. And the reason why the esteemed minister did not pin this figure, Honorable Speaker, because it is frightening. In its April regional economic outlook, the IMF projected that our growth rate in 2019 will be -5.5%, Honorable Speaker. I would like to submit with great respect that our growth rate will be at least -8.5% due to a number of issues, including Cyclone Idai, including the crippling drought that has affected our country when it is in fact an agricultural-based economy. So you cannot produce and present a mid-year statement, Honorable Speaker, without the growth rate, without also the growth rate of the year, half year ending January to June 2019. If you are not going to present the growth rate for the half year ending, there's actually no point in coming to this August House because the growth rate is fundamental. So, another myth, Honorable Speaker said, is the myth, the much hyped myth about the surplus. The minister speaks of a surplus of 800 million. Honorable Speaker said, with great respect, it is a misnomer, an error, a wrong, an omission to speak of a surplus and to boast of a surplus when you are using cash accounting in the context of expenses and expenditure that accrues. So unless we graduate to accrual accounting, it is not possible in the middle of the year or in the quarter of the year to speak about a surplus when you are using cash accounting. Also, Honorable Speaker, when you are repressing allocations and investments to ministries, and ministries are starving, there are no drugs in hospitals, there are no textbooks in schools, and there is massive deficits in virtually every ministry. You can't boast of a surplus when you have kept the tape closed and you are not distributing even the statutory allocations that you pronounced in your budget. But more importantly, Honorable Speaker, we know that the surplus is a myth because the supplementary budget itself provides for anticipated revenue of 14 billion US dollars, so Zimbabwean dollars, an expenditure of $18 billion. So the budget itself is budgeting for a deficit of $4 billion, which is at least 4% of the total budget. So there is in fact no surplus to talk about. But I want to go, Honorable Speaker, even to expenditure. You will see that in the half year ending June 2018, the total expenditure was $4.2 billion. But if you go to the original budget, as of June 2018, so 2019, the actual expenditure should have been 3.8. So the minister who is talking about a surplus and austerity, in fact, exceeded his expenditure limit by at least 15%, being the difference between $3.8 billion and $4.2 billion. So it's a smokescreen budget, marinated in this language, but obfuscating and hiding the serious flaws in the budget statement as a technical document, but more importantly, hiding the flaws, the structural flaws that are affecting our economy. The third issue I want to speak about, Honorable Speaker said. The third issue I want to speak about, which is very disconcerting, is the devaluation, the unlawful and unconstitutional devaluation that the minister has impacted on this economy. You know, Honorable Speaker, that in the last 5 years, this economy has been sustained by treasury bills. These treasury bills were issued in US dollar currency. These treasury bills are therefore US dollar paper. They constitute the bulk of our country's domestic debt. In one sweep, Honorable Speaker, the minister has converted the $9 billion US dollars treasury bills to $9 billion Zimbabwean dollars. Honorable Speaker, this is a breach of Section 71 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. Section 71 protects the right to property. Section 71 protects the right against the appropriation. And I want to make reference in particular, Honorable Speaker, to paragraph 34, page 14 of the budget statement, where the minister writes as follows, or maybe I should say the officials write as follows. Consequently, page 14, paragraph 34. He says, consequently, adherence to sound fiscal and monetary policy reforms allowed containment of domestic debt stock, which stood at Zimbabwean dollar 8.8 billion as at the end of June 2019, down from 9.5 billion as at 31st December 2018. But the treasury bills, Honorable Speaker, were never indexed in Zimbabwean dollar. The Zimbabwean dollar did not exist until the 20th of February 2019 when Statute Instrument 33 of 2019 was enacted. So you cannot devalue the entire stock of domestic debt and suddenly index it in Zimbabwean dollar. It is illegal, it is unconstitutional, and it will have serious ramifications on the economy. Another myth, Honorable Speaker, is the myth by the minister contained at page 15, paragraph 37 to 41 of the budget statement. The minister says, as he goes, the current account, for the first time since the adoption of the multiple currency regime in 2009, registered a surplus in the first quarter of 2019. A surplus of US 196 million was registered in the first quarter of 2019 compared to a deficit of US 491 million. Now, Honorable Speaker, it's not possible to talk of a current account surplus in Zimbabwe when our GDP has shrunk by more than -8%. It's not possible to talk of a current account surplus when the economy is not producing. When you go to every supermarket in Zimbabwe, whether it's TM, whether it's Nikus, whether it's OK Bazaars, whether it's Pick n Pay, 60 to 80% of the goods are imported. It's not possible, Honorable Speaker, to speak of a current account surplus when we spend over 1.5 billion US dollars of real money importing fuel, when we require at least 40 million US dollars per month to import electricity. So you cannot speak of a tiny surplus created by demand suppression methods and difficulties in getting foreign currency, and you boast of foreign currency. I want to say to the Honorable Minister of Finance, don't be concerned about lipstick and mascara and foundation. So don't be concerned about figures. Let the economy itself speak truthfully. What is the proper GDP? Another lipstick issue, Honorable Speaker. It is unprecedented in the history of economics. And I'm not an economist, just a poor lawyer. But it is unprecedented in the history of economics that a Minister of Finance, a well-educated professor, can suppress inflation figures. Honorable Speaker. The paragraph, let me just find it quickly. The paragraph, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, it is not possible, number one, the minister does not have power of issuing a directive in terms of the Statistical Act of directing the Zimbabwe Statistical Office, ZimStat, to suspend inflation figures. But more importantly, from a hygiene point of view, from a good governance point of view, it is improper for the minister to suspend inflation figures. Why? What are you trying to hide? Let the economic figures speak. So disclose inflation rates, disclose proper debt figures. And I want to come to the issue of debt. Honorable Speaker, only last week, this August House last week adopted a report by the Public Accounts Committee on serious non-compliance issues at the Ministry of Finance. One of the issues we raised, Honorable Speaker, was that the Minister of Finance was not bringing before this August House consolidated figures of overall debt twice a year as is required by Section 300 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. We note with regret that that practice is continuing. And I associate myself with the remarks of the esteemed chairman of the Budget and Finance Committee, the esteemed Mona, that it is not good enough. The Minister of Finance must comply with Section 300 of the Constitution and supply a proper schedule of all the debt that is contracted in the name of Zimbabwe. And this is a big issue, Honorable Speaker, because we know that the Reserve Bank is busy contracting debt. 2 years ago, this Augusta House was forced to pass an RBZ debt assumption of 1.5 billion US dollars. I want to assure honorable members that unless we stand our feet and our ground, the next debt assumption bill from the RBZ from the central bank will be bigger than US 1.5 billion. So honorable minister said, please comply with Section 300 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. Honorable Speaker said,
Mr. Speaker said, I move that the term be extended.
Honorable Speaker, I want want to move to solutions. Yes, I want to move to solutions. But there's one thing that concerns me, which is a governance issue, which I want to raise. The Ministry of Finance seeks to allocate to itself, in an unallocated reserve, the sum of 1,192,384,000. Honorable Speaker, this is bad governance. The House must approve every cent in the blueprint. So, Honorable Speaker, when the Ministry of Finance itself becomes at the forefront of mafia, at the forefront of bad governance, it's not acceptable. What the minister must do is to disaggregate this $1.9 billion and then distribute it to the respective ministries and not to hide fund the sector. Honorable Speaker, I want to move to solutions. And I want to say to the esteemed Minister of Finance that this economy will not move, number one, without attending to structural reforms, both political and economic. We are wasting our time, Honorable Speaker, if we ignore the challenge of legitimacy and if we ignore the fundamental fact that there has to be. Number two, Honorable Speaker said, the Honorable Minister must attend to the structural issue of ghost workers. The word view is consuming over 85% of the resources. The government must have the courage of addressing
in the legitimization of the government, like the honorable member rightly said, why is he debating a budget of a government that doesn't
I want to say to the Minister of Finance that the move to de-dollarize the economy was a disaster, a tsunami. And I want to submit, Honorable Speaker, that the Minister must repeal Statute Instrument 142 of 2019 and immediately de-dollarize the country. Without de-dollarizing the country, Honorable Speaker, we are going nowhere in the short term. So I submit the fourth thing, Honorable Speaker, we need an urgent resolution on the Zimbabwe's debt crisis. The country cannot move with a crippling debt of US 17 billion, 18 billion US. Since October 2015, the government has been dawdling with the Lima process. Lima is dead. It must be buried in Warren Hill. The IMF is wasting time with us. We need to carry out serious structural reforms so that this country can move forward. But as I said at the beginning, without political reforms, we are wasting our time. I thank you very much.